Welcome back, fellow enemies of the fire. We just got done talking all things Jesse Marsh, which included the U.S. men's national team. And before we move into the MLS, there's a phenomenon going on. James, explain this to us, because this is kind of James's thing.
U.S. men's national team. We actually talked about it last segment, just briefly, just alluding to it. But U.S. national team is moving away from MLS. And how do
DPG couldn't be happier.
Yeah, I mean, how do you as a fan feel about it? I am with DPG. I feel good. I'd rather, depend on Weston McKennie and Christian Pulisic than Atlanta United's Miles Robinson. I just would. I'd rather depend on some of these guys who are getting tested in the Champions League. How do you feel about it? Is this news to you?
So to me, this is a sign of growth. James, Toke, you guys remember how things were back 15 years, 20 years ago, where everybody was excited because we had Brian McBride in England, or Clint Dempsey joining later in England,
and Bobby Convey.
And Bobby Convey.
Bobby Convey hype was real, baby.
Oh my God! We had the
Cooper Manchester United product.
And you had the random U.S. men's national team player in Germany playing for some team that nobody knew how to pronounce the name.
Wait, are you talking about Jermaine Jones?
No, he's talking about the mayor of Hanover, Steve Cherundolo.
Yeah. What about Captain America?
Yeah, Captain America played for Manchester City.
Yeah, the original. But original. Gladio was the original Captain America.
He played for the Manchester City before Manchester City was even a powerhouse, so to say. And oh man, if you guys were around that time, it was so hard to watch EPL games on TV. You might catch maybe one or two a week. Obviously now, that's all over the place. But this is a sign of growth. The fact that unless you're England, Italy, Spain, Germany, Holland, maybe a few others, you always want your players to play on better leagues. And this is it. This is what every American fan has been striving for.
Do you think American fans are striving for losing some of their best players to England? You just mentioned England not having too many things to worry about here. Christian McFarland, could England gain a U.S. raised star? The English-born left back is the latest MLS Academy graduate to draw interest from Europe's elite clubs, and he plays for New York City FC.
I mean, honestly, to TPG's point and to what's going on here, it is growth, and the growth. You see the growth in different ways. England now wants a bite of this kid that was born in England. Before it was we didn't even register in our system, so who cares? Throw him to the Wolves.
Yeah.
But so there's growth there, and there's growth.
Jack Harrison? Is Jack Harrison registered as an Englishman or as an American?
He was, and I doubt he has his green card. I don't think he was here that long. He went over to Leeds and had a good career. But I think it's too hasty to consider where someone plays as proof of anything about the team.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's my point is the growth is that we don't have to have a spine made up of guys day in, day out on an MLS team, and a bad one at that, right? Now,
we don't want a spine made up of MLS players. No, we don't.
But the two players on an MLS roster I want to see are guys who are either going to get a huge MLS contract or go to Europe, guys on the upswing of their career, or, for lack of a better example that comes to mind, maybe Haji Wright would be better to be used here, but let's just use the big flashy name. What if Gio Reyna has another stalled year and then comes to MLS and just is killing it, 16 goals?
Nottingham Forest, as we mentioned in our last segment, they made it. So
they're not keeping him. They're not playing.
So he's gone.
No.
Okay, just double checking there.
What? So what if a player comes and resurrects his career
and
has a chance to go back? But that's what I'm saying. So what if he has another flame out year? Yes, you could damn well bet you could see Gio Reyna on an MLS squad to boost that ego, to get that confidence and get his feet back under him.
So, when what you're mentioning here, if any U.S. men's national team player that's playing out in Europe, if they're coming back to MLS, two reasons: either A, no other team in Europe wanted them,
Oh, no,
or
not
B,
necessarily true.
The American player is good enough now to the situation matters.
What I'm saying is to increase his stock. So a guy, let's say like a guy like Gio Reyna,
right?
It's gonna go back to Dortmund. Let's say Dortmund, after
they're not going to play him. Yeah, they're going to loan him out again.
Do you think that
loan him out or sell him?
Do you think that if he goes to like Serie B or second division Spain or even championship, he was already in the championship, wouldn't that be a better career move than going back to the MLS?
I don't know.
I doubt it. I think back in the day that you brought up talking about Captain America and Bocanegra and Dempsey, it was like anyone that would possibly have you go, that might be your only chance. Nowadays, these players are good enough that the situation matters. And if the situation doesn't fit him, another one will. Like Clint Dempsey could have re-signed for Tottenham and been a rotational winger, or he could have went to a bad relegation-battled EPL team and been a starter, or he did what he did and he went to Seattle and was a goddamn rock star. Situations matter now. There are guys and that's the thing. He was still on the world international level when he played for the US until the very, very end, when that happens to literally everyone.
How would you guys feel?
Isn't the goal to play at the highest possible level of competition?
Yes.
No, the goal is to have the best possible career you can have by making the most money, having the most fun, and being the most exposed, and participating in the most championships.
I'm speaking to DPG's question when I'm asking, what about the Scottish leagues? What if some of these players ended up with Celtic or Rangers? Is that ambitious enough? Because I feel like there is a level of ambition where, maybe you shouldn't stay in the second league of Spain or the second league of Serie A. Maybe you should go to somewhere that's a little bit,
But I'm saying,
I don't know, just more prestigious, even if it's a step down, like a Scottish league or even MLS.
I was gonna say more or less, if there was nothing available in in the Premier League and La Liga and and Serie A, it's just, if there was nothing available in the Bundesliga, there's no teams interesting. But there's plenty of teams that are, fighting for promotion. Plenty of teams. You can even, if you talk about Rangers and Celtic, those are probably the only two teams that you want to go when you're in Scotland.
Well, but hold on. You guys are bringing up Celtic, which is a perfect example of this. Like, I think the American player and MLS have both risen to a certain level where if you're not in a top 5 league, MLS is just as good of an option as a Turkey, as a Celtic, as a this or that. Like, look at CCV. CCV is getting offers for big Turkish clubs. And he wants to stay at Celtic because he's comfortable, he's happy, he's winning championships, he's a major part of a team, and he's better for it. How many years do we hear about CCV? That he bounced around from loan to loan to loan, not doing anything until he finally found the right situation for him.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this, he could be the exact same player he is in Scotland in MLS. It's just that the Scotland situation worked the best for him.
What if he became who he was faster? I mean, like, if he just stayed in MLS, like,
same with Eric Palmer Brown. He could have stayed in Kansas City, and we could be talking about Eric Palmer Brown right now. We're not saying shit about him.
Well, speaking of transients, I got another question to you. It's related to this very subject we're talking about. Brandon Vazquez. How do we judge players who, aren't necessarily in Europe but have left the American leagues? Like, where does Brandon Vazquez fit into the U.S. men's national team picture?
So Liga MX. Liga MX is. I was going to say Liga MX is pretty much neck and neck with MLS in certain aspects. It's a lateral
move, yeah.
It's a lateral move. It's not, depending on what team of Liga MX it is, it might be even a little bit higher
Monterrey. He plays for CF Monterrey.
Yeah, so the situation with Brandon Vasquez is a little bit unique.
Really?
that was his best move. You could cut him up was going to the Liga MX, which is fine. Now the question is, can he trampoline himself to Europe?
Well, I don't think so. I think he's stuck.
Does he need to? Because here's a question. Okay, let's just throw out this real crazy hypothetical. All right, I know none of this is real, but let's just throw this out here. Let's say that we get to the end of everybody's season, and Jesus Ferreira has 11 goals in MLS. Not Chicho. Brandon Vasquez has 16 in Liga MX, and Pepe has 7 in Eredivisie. What matters more to you? What sounds more successful?
7 goals in Holland, and the reason
I would totally disagree.
The reason I tell you this is because first, when you're playing in these European leagues, you're playing in the highest level competition in the world. You're playing Champions League ball. You're playing against some of the best players in the world. You're not doing that in MLS. You're playing against academy products, college kids.
Well, Holland is all academy products.
Yeah, it's
the entire
so
league
many.
is an academy
but
product.
Not necessarily true, but mostly true.
But they turned into the best players in the world. It's a difference. Eventually, but you're still
they're playing a certain style of football.
I don't know. I would take the 16 goals in Mexico for sure, and then even in that scenario, the 11 in MLS versus the 7 in the Netherlands, then you got a real conversation on your hands there.
I'd take the 11 in MLS over Netherlands. I don't know.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. If it's not a top 5 league,
when you got goalkeepers making mistakes like Brady, when you got goalkeepers spread across the league that make random mistakes like that, it's not hard to imagine someone scoring 11 goals.
I think
you're
American. I think that exists in Europe too, though.
It does. You're American,
but it's more rare. It's more rare.
And they're all kids, so it's probably not as rare as you think.
You guys are trying to say MLS is just as good as playing in Europe.
In certain situations, yes, 100%.
That's the worst. That's the worst thing you could say. This is the reason why.
Real quick question. So, these are our best players according to FIFA. And they all seem to play for Europe. You got Pulisic, Josh Sargent being our best striker per FIFA, but I mean, you could put Vasquez up there.
Well, hold on. I know you
Bright.
want to run through this, James. I know you want to run through this, but before you do, I just want to I can already see it coming because I play FIFA. But most of those players in Europe, where are they all? In a top 5 league, and if they're not, you're Serginho Dest in your top 5 league quality, but you needed to get your feet back under you for a season. So that's my whole point.
Walker Zimmerman's the one MLS guy. I'm like, yeah, he might make sense. Tim Ream, not MLS. Jedi Robinson, not MLS. Dest, as you just said. Tyler Adams with McKinney, Musa. They got Tim Weah listed here, but and I do think he's amazing. But as we said in a previous podcast, he struggled.
This year he struggled, but they're playing him too far back. They got to shit or get off the pot with Weah.
And then we got Turner, in net. And Turner, at the moment, might be America's strongest netminder.
So
yeah, that's unfortunate.
And using your logic, so Weah not having a good season, should he consider MLS?
No, because that's not the right situation for him. He had a down season. I didn't say he had a bad season.
You think Reyna should consider MLS, but Weah shouldn't?
I said Reyna. No, hold on. I said Reyna after another.
You screwed yourself, buddy.
Hold on, no. I said after another flame out of a season for Reyna. I didn't say now. I said if next season he flames out just as hard as this year, yes. But then again, he might find a place in the Netherlands or find a place in Turkey, which is, again, it's situationally based. If that works out better than Austin, Texas for him, that's fine. But if Austin, Texas is better for him, do that over those places.
Right. You got a point, but what about Weah? Weah is struggling out where he is right now in Serie A.
Weah had struggles. He's still a talented player.
What's the right move for him?
Stay. Work through a down year. That's
really?
it. Yeah, that's literally it.
But not go to MLS though.
He doesn't need to. Not
He's
the
gonna
moment.
get
He just-
loaned out. I bet you he gets loaned out
He's gonna
to
get
like
loaned out.
he's gonna get loaned out to like a lower, slightly lower league than Serie A.
But you know what? Even if he gets loaned out to like a Serie B team, the one that's fighting promotion, that might be a good situation for him. Because automatically he becomes like the star guy.
Well, I don't.
he could be. Yeah,
I would agree with that in the Championship or La Liga B, but like the second Bundesliga or the second Italian league, I don't.
Well, okay, so fine. Maybe the second La Liga. Fine, but still competitive.